so we're here to perform a cross match. We don't really have anybody that actually needs a blood transfusion, so I'm just doing this on camera to prove that I know how to do it. So this is Sandy. So Sandy, we're gonna get some blood from her. Okay, so I've got Allison holding, and we're gonna get some blood from her cephalic vein.
You're okay.
Good girl, Sandy. Thank you. Alright. So EDTA tube. This is our heparin. Alright. Alright, so now for our cross match, we're going to get blood from Duke here. And he's also getting a thyroid, so we're not only going to use the EDTA tube, we're going to use the heparin tube. So, alright, Dukes, have a seat. Alright. So we're going to pull from the cephalic vein. There we go. That should be enough. Alright.
Good boy.
So there's.
I'm gonna take a stick back.
Thank you, ma'am. Alright. That's for a thyroid test. The purple top was for a cross match. Okay, so we have our 2 tubes here. It's EDTA, and what this is going to be used for is our cross match. So I've got blood from Duke and I've got blood from Sandy. I've got these both labeled here, and so I'm going to place these into the centrifuge. They need a centrifuge for 5 minutes. So we're going to come over here. I'm going to place Duke's in slot 1 and Sandy's in slot 4 across from it so they can balance each other. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. And I'm going to time this for 5 minutes. It says 4 minutes and 59 seconds, but alright, so we're going to let that go for the next 5 minutes. Okay, so our centrifuge has been spinning, and it was spinning for 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out of here. I can get a hold of them. Okay, there's Sandy. Took me more trouble than I'm usually used to having. And then let's see if we can get Duke's out here a little bit easier. And Duke. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've already got some tubes labeled here. Duke plasma, Sandy plasma, and so I'm going to pull plasma off of each of these. So this one's Duke. And be careful to just get the plasma and not the red blood cells. We got a little bit of hemolysis here. So here's Duke. I'm just going to set this over the side for a moment. And then Sandy. Use a clean pipette. These both are showing hemolysis, so that means the red blood cells busted. Okay. And Sandy, so we're going to set hers to the side as well. Okay, now we're going to begin the process of washing. So, I've got 2 plain pipettes here, and I've got 2 more plain red top tubes with no additives. So one says Duke RBC, the other one says Sandy RBC. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I need 1 drop of red blood cells. So this is Sandy. One drop. And Duke. 1 drop. Okay, next we are going to get a syringe, and I've got a cup here with some just plain regular saline solution in it. And so we're going to add 20 drops of saline solution to each one of these. So Sandy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. And Duke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Alright, next step is to go ahead and put these in the centrifuge, and we're going to balance them with each other because they both have the exact same amount. So I'm putting Sandy in 1 and Duke in 4, and we're going to start our timer and let it centrifuge. Okay, now that the centrifuge has been spinning for 5 minutes, let's get these back out of here. Oh, actually use needle this time. Alright. So next, we want to be careful. We want to remove all of the liquid on top here, but we do not want to disrupt the red blood cells at the bottom. So what you can do is you can just either pour it off, or you can use a pipette, and you can use the pipette to get all of the solution off. So I'm just going to discard it into the garbage can here, being very careful not to disrupt these red blood cells at the bottom. Okay, there's one, and we're going to do the same for the other one. Okay, so now that was our first washing, so we need to do the same thing 2 more times. You're supposed to do this 3 times. So I'm going to use more saline. We're going to add 20 more drops to the red blood cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Alright, and that's Sandy, and I'm going to place her in slot 1. And then Duke, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Put the cap back on this and balance Sandy with Duke in slot 4. We're going to start our centrifuge and let it go for 5 more minutes. Okay, so centrifuge is stopped, so we're going to go ahead and take off all of the liquid after the second washing. So you can literally just pour this off as well. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm just going to pour it right off. Okay. And then I'll use the pipette for this one. And we're just discarding of this. Okay. Actually, I have a little bit left from there. Alright. So we're going to use 20 drops of saline in each one, yet again for the third washing. So Sandy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And we're going to put that in slot 1. Okay, and then Duke, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And we're going to put that as the balancing tube in slot 4. Start this for 5 minutes, and then our washing process will be finished. Okay, third time's a charm. Let's go ahead and take these out of here. Alright, we're going to just pull this off of these one more time. Okay, that was Duke. Let's do Sandy. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add 20 more drops to each one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So now we have our solution, and what I'm going to do, we don't have to centrifuge this again. I just need this to mix. I'm trying to locate the pipettes. Oh, here they are. So this has got our, this is our solution now with our washed blood cell, red blood cells. So I'm just kind of mixing it all up together. So that's Duke. I'm going to get a different pipette and do the same for Sandy. Okay, so this is our red blood cell wash for each of them. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now that we have our red blood cell solutions, I just want to go ahead and state that I also have an extra control. It's the recipient control. So we're using Duke as the recipient, and we're using Sandy as the donor. So we just have an extra control here as well. So what we're going to do is we have, go ahead and get this closer for a second. We have a major, which is the recipient plasma plus the donor cells. We have a minor. I'm sorry, this is the major. We have the minor, which is the donor plasma plus the recipient cells. And then we have the control, okay? And the control is the recipient plasma and recipient cells. Okay, so what we're going to do, set this back over here. Let's see what I'm doing. Okay, got a pipette here. And it's going to be 2 parts of plasma and 1 part of red blood cells. So, we're going to take the recipient plasma, which is Duke. And it's going to be 2 parts of this. And this is going to be for the major. So, 1, 2 drops of plasma. And then it's going to be 1 drop of our red blood cell solution. And then that one's going to be Sandy. So that's going to be, hello? Hello? Well, that's creepy. The door just opened by itself. That's going to be the donors. So, the donors here. So it's going to be 1 drop of the donor cells added to the recipient's drop of the donor cells added to the recipient's plasma. And so I'm just going to put the lid back on this, and that's our major. And this is going to sit and incubate for 15 minutes. Next we're going to do our minor. So our minor, I'll get a new pipette for this one, is going to be the donor plasma, which is Sandy. So 2 drops of her plasma. One, 2. Along with 1 drop of the recipient's cells. So we're going to use a red blood cell solution and 1 drop of that added with the donor's plasma. Okay. We're going to make sure too that we kind of gently invert these. We want these to be good mixed. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to let them sit and incubate for 15 minutes. Last but not least, we're going to use our control. I'm making a mess, so I'm just going to clean this all up real quick. Okay, so we're using Duke's red blood cells and his plasma. So I'm going to get a clean pipette. And 2 drops of plasma. To 1 drop of the red blood cell solution. We're going to gently invert this and let it sit for 15 minutes and incubate as well. You'll have to excuse me, I'm Butterfingers today. Okay, so these have been sitting and incubating for about 15 minutes now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in a centrifuge. We're going to get a tube to be a balance for one of them. I'm just going to add a little bit of saline in there to be a balance. We're going to let this centrifuge for exactly 15 seconds. So I'm going to centrifuge. I'm going to put the control in 5, which will be across from the balance at 2. I'm going to put the minor at 1 across from the major. And the major is at 4. Start the time is for 15 seconds. Start and start. Let that stop real quick. So what we're going to be looking for is hemolysis when we pull these out. So once again, hemolysis is a very red looking, it's very distinctive. we're going to look at our supernatant for hemolysis. So pull these out one at a time. Okay, that's just our balance. This is our minor, where there is definitely hemolysis. Okay. This is our control. Well, there is obviously some hemolysis there as well. And our minor. Also hemolysis. Okay, so now that we've looked at these, we're going to resuspend them. So we're just going to mix them. Okay. So macroscopically, I don't see any clumpies. So let's go ahead and let's look at these microscopically, and we're going to look for agglutination, which is clumping of the cells. So I've already got 3 labeled here. One says minor, one says major, and one says control. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to get my pipettes, and I'm going to put a drop of each one onto a slide. So this is our minor. Just going to take a drop, place it onto our slide. Place the cover slip on that. Now we're going to do the same thing for the control. Place the cover slip on it. And last but not least, our major. Alright, so we're going to start looking at these one at a time under the microscope for agglutination to see if there's any clumping. I've got my control, my major, and my minor all sitting right here. So let's take a look and see what we see. So you want to look this at 10 times or 40 times power. You can kind of go between the two just depending on whatever works for you. So I'm going to look at the control first. There is no agglutination here. None of the cells are clumped together, which is to be expected of the control. So next I'm going to take a look at our major. See what we've got on it. I'm not seeing any agglutination on this. So far, if there's no agglutination, the cells aren't clumping. Looks like that could be a match. So that was our major. So now we're going to take a look at the minor. Once again, I do not see any agglutination. So since there is no agglutination, the cells aren't clumping, that means that these guys are actually a match, which is very lucky for us, because if we really were doing a cross match here for one that actually needed a blood transfusion, then we wouldn't have to go through this whole process again to find another donor. So, great news. Okay, so now that we're done with that, the only thing we're going to do now is I'm just going to record this in the patient's record. So I'm going to go under Duke's record. Duke Bodine. And we're going to put in cross match. And I'm just going to put in some notes here that we were compatible with patient Sandy. And I'm going to put her last name. No agglutination. Same. Okay? So, therefore, if we really need to, we can go back if Duke ever needs a cross-mat, if he ever needs another blood transfusion for any reason, we can actually go to Sandy. We'll see this in his patient chart, and we can go back and we can say, hey, so Sandy so-and-so is a match. And we can go back and we can give that owner a call and see if they'd be willing to bring their dog in for a blood transfusion to help.